So, we often hear about checks and balances at the federal level, but how do state and local governments keep the federal government in line, basically, or in check?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so important the federalist design of our Constitution, and it's not just the federal government. It is this whole complex array of offices that are spread from the local all the way up to the national level, and we have to understand that those concurrent, overlapping, and different kinds of jurisdictions, some of which are very specialized at the local level, and some of which are oversee huge, influence at, say, at the state level. And you look at the size of state budgets, you look at the kind of power that states wield, and those are not political entities to be neglected in our understanding of how our country works. And so, and I think we're in a time right now where there are a lot of questions about what are the proper roles of government at different levels, and if you're going to be changing, one level of government, that's going to have an impact on another level of government. And if government at the national level is going to be giving up certain things, well, then there's going to be a question about whether state and local governments are going to have to absorb that. And those are conversations that all of us need to be involved with.
Right. And well, how do you get involved with that? How do you know about, you know, these issues that are happening as far as, if there's not happening at the federal level, how do we find out if we need to like move forward with our state to say, hey, and who do we talk to? Do we talk to the governor? Are there other people that we need to reach out to say, well, since if the Department of Education at federal level is being dismantled, how do we as a state make a difference in our, state.
Yeah, I think it's important to start with knowing who your elected officials are at different levels. Who are your city council members, who are your school board members, who are your state legislators who represent your particular district, and find any way that you can to get to know those folks. I always had constituents when I was a state legislator reach out to set up meetings for coffee. They might have some set of issues that they wanted to talk to me about, and I figured that my number one responsibility as a state legislator was to be a good listener, to really try to understand other people's life experiences and absorb that into my thinking about different issues that were going to come along. Sometimes there might be some small fix that needed to be made in the law, and so we could pass a bill to do that. Other times they were talking about major systemic issues that needed to be addressed, and there was not going to be some, easy way to go about that. But I needed to get up to speed on what they were talking about, and so I think getting to know your elected officials, and then as you get involved in your community and as you get to know people who are currently serving in office, I think it's important to think about that. We are a citizen-run democracy, and we need people who are willing to step up and get involved and hold different public offices. And so folks should consider ways that they can serve. But it's not just about, I say, citizenship is not just about what goes on in government, even just like it's not just what goes on at the national level.
Mhm.
It's across all these other levels, but also citizenship is about a whole array of activities that are happening in the community. What you do as a volunteer for a nonprofit organization, or what you do in your house of worship, or what you do in a service club, or some group of people who have a shared hobby but are getting together to form social bonds. Those are all very important aspects of our citizenship in a free society. The functioning of our society depends on people being involved and saying that they're not just going to be passive observers of the community, but that they're going to be, whether it's leaders or participants in other ways.